Hey everyone, welcome to this week's edition of Bear Facts Friday on June 26th. Happy to have you tune in as always. In Kenny's absence today, I'll be filling in for him for the filter and bringing up the big news of the week. And then I'll also be doing the perspective, and Lisa will round out a little bit of wisdom at the end. I think you're going to like what she has. So one of the big news items for this week was related to RMDs, or required minimum distributions. And as you might know, what that means is that if you have certain qualified retirement accounts and you reach a certain age, which has now been changed to 72, you're required to take certain amounts out of your accounts each year as dictated by the IRS and the government. And with the changes due to COVID and the CARES Act earlier this year, the IRS has come out and said that you do not have to take RMDs this year for certain accounts, including 401ks, IRAs, and even beneficiary IRAs. There is a different rule, and the original rule still applies to defined benefit plans, just so you know. But just recently this week, they also clarified some guidance and said, if you've already taken out your RMD or a portion of it up to this point this year, you can actually put it back in. And so that's a big deal for folks who may not need that amount of money or may not need or rely on that account to fund their current lifestyle. It can be a tax savings by not having to take the RMD in this year. So something to consider if you've already taken it out is whether you might want to put it back in, or if you've already taken it out, maybe you consider doing a Roth conversion as another option. Those are things that we'd love to be able to talk to you about and offer some advice on if you need that. And then moving on to perspective this week, I found this great chart from a source called Visualize Value, and it really spoke to me just when thinking about financial planning and chasing money and earning a great income and all the things that go along with it. And I thought it was especially appropriate right now, given where we are and some things that we have going on. But the idea of not always chasing the smaller or maybe more insignificant shiny objects that might be right in front of us, but over time really focusing on what's important and what matters most to you, whatever that might be. It looks different for many people, whether it's time might be freedom, or the ability to travel might be freedom, or your health might be freedom. Anything can be it. But it's just I thought this really was a subtle reminder to don't get distracted or persuaded by the shiny object in front of you. Instead, focus on your main goal. With that, I'll turn it over to Lisa.
Thank you, Mark. And speaking of shiny objects, we don't want to forget the shiny objects of our lives, our wonderful furry friends, some four-legged, some two. But when we're considering your financial plan and your estate planning, something to keep in mind is that 68% of the U.S. households have a pet, and almost half of those have more than one. In my household, we have had up to 7 cats at one time. Don't get me started on that, but we do have 3 lovely furry friends that we have to consider what to do if they happen to outlive us, because they're all considered members of our family. And what happens if something were to happen to us? How would they be taken care of? Is there somebody that's willing to step in and care for these loved ones? Because you certainly don't want them to just, after all of the love and attention that you've given them over the years, you want that to continue. So some of the things that you need to think about to get that started is, what are your wishes? How do you want them cared for? And what sort of a lifestyle do you want them to have? And then identify a caregiver, somebody that will love and care for your pet in the same fashion that you have. And of course, the third thing is to always don't forget about the financial aspects of it. I happen to have a diabetic cat that needs special care. Some have special diets. I've had pets that have needed regular medical care of some sort, such as one of my cats is an asthmatic. He's got to have steroid shots every 6 weeks or 3 months or so. So these are all things that need to be considered, and those financial pieces. How are they? Now that once you've identified somebody, how are they going to care for your pet? There's several ways to accomplish this. You can do it in formal pet agreements. You can do it in a trust, or and you just carve out money in your will. And be sure you account for not just the care of your pet, but also compensation for the person that's agreeing to take over this. Something else you might want to consider as a nice little gift for them. And of course, the other thing to consider when you're putting something in paper is what happens if by some chance your animal doesn't outlive the money. There's actually money left over. Where would you want that to be directed? So there's a lot of things we kind of joke and it's lighthearted about it, but these are serious things to consider as you want to take care of these very special members of your family. So in the meantime, you can go take your puppy for a walk.
Yeah.
Don't forget thanks, Mark.
That's right. I'm a dog person. One of my favorite quotes is something along the lines of, as humans, dogs are just a part of our life, but we are their entire lives. And I think that's so true. So our pets are important to us. And just this week, we're helping some clients with estate planning needs and figuring out trust for a number of adult children and the different dynamics and circumstances there. But I think this was a great reminder to don't forget about your other family members, which are your pets.
Yes.
So that's what we've got for you all this week. Hope everyone has a great weekend, and we will see you next time.